Hello everyone, my name is Lewis. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all safe and well. Now today I've got 3 terrific jazz albums for your consideration. I'm going to talk about each album in turn and why I would recommend them to you. Now the episode today is probably going to be shorter than usual. That's solely because these 3 albums I found very little to frustrate or there's very few negatives, so I'm just going to hurtle through it. I want you to listen to them as quickly as you can, see what you think, and see whether or not they fit into your collection. But certainly in mine, they've taken a pride of place. Now, the first album today is a 2015 release, and it's by the Jaska Lukkarinen trio, and the album's entitled Origami. There you go. That's a terrific cover. I really like that. Yeah, something about the jazz world, when they do geometric shapes, it seems to work for me. Yeah, super happy with this album cover. I found this album to be an intriguing and rewarding live jazz recording. The album itself ebbed and flowed with subtle yet at the same time dynamic underpinnings. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The compositions and musicality alternated seamlessly between modal and more gritty tones. Part of the album's strength would lie in the conspicuous understatedness of it. So yeah, this is just a beautiful piece, something just to put on, and it's just going to take you elsewhere, certainly to a more happier place. This album has single-handedly restored my faith in modern contemporary jazz, and I underlined that 3 times. In my very early episodes on the channel, I basically alluded to my frustration with particularly contemporary British jazz. I couldn't make head nor tail of it, didn't get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I did give it a go, spent my own money on it, and ultimately found it wanting at this stage. But this album from 5 years ago, and that's relatively new in the scheme of things, it certainly did restore my faith. I'm happy with that statement. No note was wasted on this album, hence the execution by the trio appears incredibly tight. Yeah, it's got a great sound to this album. Please do check it out. You'll be doing yourself a favor. Beautifully balanced 4-track album. Yes, it is 4 tracks. It is an EP as such, but don't think of it like that. It's 4 killer tracks on here. So yeah, it's money well spent. Notables on this album will be Valtteri Laurel Poihoinen, who was the composer. Yeah, you've done a magnificent job there, sir, of creating such rich landscapes and music. Yeah, I certainly enjoyed it. Antti Lotjonen on bass and Jussi Kanast on sax. Yes, between the 3 of you and your contributions to this album, yeah, you did a fantastic job. So bravo to you. The tracks that I would recommend from this album would be Komeda, Penga Duala, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Flow On. Yes, please do forgive me for butchering names. Yeah, Finnish isn't my first language, so I do apologize, but yeah, you get my sentiment anyway. If you do happen to find this album, it may not be that expensive in the scheme of things. It's just finding it. So good luck to you all out there, but it's certainly worth a listen. The second album today, I waited for this album for quite some time. I don't know why it took me so long to buy it, but yeah, I haven't looked back since. It's a 1984 release, and it's Makoto Terashita and Harold Land, and the album is entitled Topology. Okay, Oh, just seeing as we're here, I can show you the gatefold inside. Yeah, that's lovely. No complaints there. Some very good text about how the album and artists met up and how the album came into being. Yeah, super nice. I had high expectations for this album. I've just got into Harold Land and his back catalogue of work. So I came across this one and I thought, oh, mixed in with Japanese jazz, that's kind of ticking two boxes. Let me go for that. So I did, and yeah, never looked back. This is absolutely amazing, this album. So as I said, I had high expectations for this album, and I'm glad to report this album did not disappoint in any way, shape or form. It's absolutely amazing, this album. There are fine compositions to be found here, with some high level performances. Yeah, yeah, I like this album. I admire it. I respect it. If you don't have it in your collection, I suggest strongly giving it a listen. See what you think. See if it fits into your particular collection. But I'm sure it will do if you are a fan of jazz. Yeah. I don't say that with every album, but with this one, certainly. As I've come to expect from Land, he puts in a shift on this particular album with soulful and expressive sax playing, which elevated the work to a totally different level. Yeah, with a lesser saxophonist, it would have been good, but I think Harold Land's touches certainly did take it to a new, yeah, just above the normal, way above the normal. Yeah, I've just repeat. Yeah, what I said to you earlier, I've said it here again, and I've underlined it. If you don't already own it, I would strongly advise at least giving it a listen to see what you think. The notables on this album would be Yasushi Yoneki on bass, and the tracks that I would recommend from this album would be World Peace, Ha to Boo, and Takuma. Yeah, really gorgeous album. So as I said, I can't say strongly enough. Try and get your hands on it. If you like jazz, get your hands on it. The third and final album for today is an absolute stonker, and it's a 1965 release by a gentleman called Pete LaRocca, and the album is called Basra. Oh, that's beautiful cover. That's everything I love in a Blue Note cover. Yeah, really enjoy that. Although there are subtle musicianship to be found here, Basra as a whole is a muscular affair, in my opinion. Joe Henderson is absolutely white hot in terms of his performance, and he steals the show with a sensational sax performance. Yeah, he just blew my mind with how good his playing is. Yeah, I'm partial to jazz saxophonist, and Joe Henderson is certainly up there in my pantheon of who's the best. I'm not going to say who I think. What there's who's considered the best, and there's who I enjoy the most, and certainly in the latter category of who I enjoy, Joe Henderson is truly up there. He's, for me, an absolute great. He's a legend. LaRocca takes a back seat for much of the album, letting Henderson off the reins, which is a really nice touch, seeing as the album, you know, if your name's on the album and you're big enough to let another person, shine, yeah, that's a level of maturity and selflessness that you don't always see on albums. So good for you, Pete LaRocca, that you took a chance, because certainly the album benefited from Mr. Henderson's performance. When this group gets into their stride, it is simply breathtaking. And yes, I did put an asterisk near there, and the reason is because I wholeheartedly thought that at the time, and I still think it now. It's it's an absolutely sensational performance once they get into their stride. The notables on this album would be, and I mentioned him 2 or 3 times, is Joe Henderson on sax and Steve Kuhn on piano, who does a lovely job throughout. The tracks that I would recommend from this album would be Malaguena, Basra, and I really enjoyed the last one, Lazy Afternoon. So with each of these 3 albums I've shown you today, I would strongly recommend try to get your hands on them as soon as possible. You're in for an absolute treat, and I don't say that lightly, but on this particular episode, I think the 3 albums are so strong yet so different from each other that there's a lot for you to take away from it, and I can certainly see one, if not all 3 of them, taking pride of place in your jazz collection. So thank you very much for hanging out with me today and listening to my musings on 3 albums, 3 jazz albums. It's been an absolute pleasure. I certainly enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. Now, if you think I'm worthy, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting down below. If you have any suggestions for albums that you think I should be looking out for, I'd be more than happy to try and seek them out. Yes, it's been an absolute pleasure, as I said. So until the next episode, please look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you soon. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.